Greetings, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Mariana Garcia. I'm the Public Programs and Exhibit Manager at the Connecticut Democracy Center at Connecticut's Old State House, and I want to welcome you all to our first program for Civics Learning Week, From the Classroom to the Capital City, Place-Based Civic Learning in Hartford. Civics Learning Week is a national effort to prioritize civic education to strengthen our democracy. It brings together students, educators, policymakers, and leaders in the public and private sectors to highlight the movement for civic education in states and communities across the nation. Governor Ned Lamont has officially proclaimed this week Civic Learning Week in Connecticut, and Secretary of State Stephanie Thomas has issued an official citation honoring all the people and groups in Connecticut who helped to elevate civic education throughout the state. So to start things off, I just want to welcome all of our state government partners who are joining us today. We have Allison Chandler. Where did Allison go? Here you are. Allison Chandler. We have Deborah Shander. We have Jacob Orcutt, Jennifer Matos, and Kim Fabrizio. They are going to be telling you each about what they do, how they are helping civic place-based civic learning, and we will be discussing the importance of place-based education in fostering civic awareness and engagement. And we'll also be learning about some of the unique programs available for students and the public at all of our different sites all around Hartford, including Connecticut's Old State House, the State Capitol, the Supreme Court, the State Library, and the Museum of Connecticut History. And we will also have a look at all of our classroom-based civic learning programs and resources. So hopefully by the end of the hour, you'll be just inspired and have lots of new ideas for your next field trip or your civics-focused lesson plan for your classroom. So first of all, thank you all and each of you for joining us today. We are so happy to have so many people from so many partners around Hartford. And I think we are ready to start things off. So I have a couple of questions for you to see if we can learn a little bit about your programs and your sites. And I'd like to start off with this question. Who are you? What do you do for work? And where do you work? And also, please share the physical location of your site. So anybody who would like to begin?
I'll start.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Allison Chandler. I am the Program Manager for Education and Outreach for the Connecticut Judicial Branch. I have two offices that kind of facilitate my two different roles. One is at the Supreme Court in Hartford, and that's at 231 Capitol Avenue. And the other one is 99 East River Drive in East Hartford.
I will go next. I am Deborah Shander. I'm the state librarian, which means I run the State Library Agency, which is in downtown Hartford. Coincidentally, also at 231 Capitol Avenue, we actually share a building with the Supreme Court. And so if you ever do come and visit, we would love to show you around the facility. But we do have a couple of other locations across Hartford and in the surrounding regions, but our main facility is at 231 Capitol as well.
And the Museum of Connecticut History is also located within the same building. So it's the Connecticut State Library and Supreme Court building, which was built in 1910 to house both branches of both the executive and judicial branch. But this Museum of Connecticut History was designed to be kind of the centerpiece of the building. And so if you walk into the building at 231 Capitol Ave and kind of head towards the back center, you'll see Memorial Hall, which is right behind me.
I'm Kim Fabrizio, Director of Capital Information and Tours at the State Capitol. And we are 210 Capitol Avenue, also 300 Capitol Avenue at the Legislative Office Building. So right across the street from us, our friends at the Library, Court, and Museum. The museum, newer to that building, but we used to have the State Library and the Supreme Court in the Capitol.
And I am the Director of Operations at Connecticut's Old State House. We are at 800 Main Street, right in the heart of downtown Hartford. And we also, I work for the Connecticut Democracy Center through the Old State House. And as the Democracy Center, we also have a location over on Oak Street in Hartford, and also a presence in the Capitol building as well through the Connecticut Network, which films the goings-on of the state capitol.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, so before we get into what each of our sites does for place-based civic learning, why don't we talk about what the importance is of place-based civics learning? Now, who would like to start sharing what they think? We can do the same order that we had in the first round. So
I'll jump in.
Would you like to start?
Yeah. So I've given tours of the Supreme Court for many years. I've also had the opportunity to give tours of the court from the museum. And I've really learned the importance of learning about something in the location where it happens. Especially with some of our younger students, it can be hard to really grasp what we're talking about when we're not in the location where it happens. So to have students come to us at the Supreme Court and be able to see the bench and be able to sit in the seats that they would sit if they were observing court, just really helps them get a deeper sense of understanding of what we're trying to teach them.
I would very much agree with that. I think that place-based education really helps you understand civics in a way that you otherwise wouldn't. You know, with all of us in a Zoom environment now, it can be very easy to feel disconnected or not realize how many other people are also participating in government with you. Just last week, I was actually over at the Capitol building, the LOB, for a hearing, and then I was in DC on the Hill doing something very similar. And it's when you are there in the places that these things are happening that you're seeing how many other people are there with you who maybe are talking about the same thing that you are, maybe they're talking about something else entirely, or you see the side conversations or the conversations that are happening in the hallway, that there is more than just what's being displayed or shown to you in a screen. And I think that, as Allison said, you don't maybe get that sense until you're actually in the place where the work is happening. And that can really bring it to life and help students understand the importance and the role that they have in this process as well.
I think place-based learning, particularly in museums, is very important because obviously the students are going to be exposed to the stuff, and it's just so visceral for them to be able to, you know, see all the portraits of the governors or to see different founding documents with their very own eyes. It really does make everything come to life.
As the seat of government, we have a lot going on. We have a little bit of a museum feel to us, but then you come into the halls and you see lobbyists, advocates, legislators. For many people, we find it's the first and unfortunately maybe the only time they have some direct contact with their legislators. And for school groups to come in and actually see the process, start to finish, of how a bill becomes a law, it really awakens them. And I think everyone gets a greater appreciation of what we have and how we've evolved.
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, kind of our core learning memories from school were things that took place outside of the normal structure of the classroom. So museums, historic sites, trips to these places, I think, are some of, at least for me, some of my biggest memories from being in school. I remember going to the state capitol and the state library as well. So it's kind of cool to be on a Zoom call with people who work at those places. But I think when you teach civics in those moments where kids are outside of the classroom and having some of those really memorable moments that they're going to hopefully carry with them their entire lives, the hope is that they also bring what they learned and that passion for civics with them through life as well.
Thank you so much. I would also add to all this that I feel when the students are in the place where it happens, they feel such a connection and such, I don't know if ownership is the right word, but such a, they feel part of the story and they feel part of the process when they're in the actual place of whatever it is that they're discussing. They're there and they're able to make those connections. I think that's also really, really important. Okay, so let's get into what each of your sites actually does. So how does each of your site do place-based learning for students? So if you could just explain what kinds of programs your sites do and what kind of tours and school group programs you offer to the public.
I guess I'm up.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 main programs that bring students into our facilities. The first that I already discussed is Supreme Court tours. So teachers anywhere across the state can set up an opportunity to come to the Supreme Court and sit in the courtroom, learn not only the history of the building, but we also discuss the appellate process, some unique things about Connecticut and how our judicial system functions as a whole. In addition to that, if you have students who are maybe a little bit older, those students can come not only for a tour, but to observe oral arguments, just as anybody from, can come off the street and observe arguments. We can set aside some space for students to come in and learn about the court and then observe arguments as they happen. We also have 2 programs for high school students. So we have a job shadow program, which allows students to come into our courts, into our offices for a morning and shadow a judicial branch employee, kind of learn about what they do, see what a day looks like, and kind of get that first taste of if this is what they want to do for their career going forward. And then we have a more extensive program than that called Court Aid, and that allows students to come into our workplace for mostly about 2 to 3 weeks and volunteer some time. They'll get a real project to do, some work experience, and a better idea of what the day-to-day functioning looks like.
And at the State Library, this is one where the museum is really going to shine. So I won't take too much time from Jen, but we do have a couple of things that anyone can participate in. We do have a program called Third Thursday, which is something that we produce on the 3rd Thursday of the month. It's currently on hiatus, but this is something we do typically once a month, and we have programs that anyone can join in on virtually. We also participate in History Day in a number of ways. So you can work with one of our reference librarians, archivists, a member of the museum staff to really do research into some of the primary and secondary sources, topics that a student might be researching during History Day, and we have resources that are available for those. We also do internships with college students and others, so they may be looking for hands-on experience in a museum or an archives, public records unit, any of the things that we offer. And so those are options as well. But I would say, again, this is going to be one that we really shine in the museum on.
Thank you, Deborah. The museum hosts many school visitors every year, and a lot of them come from right across the street. A lot of them are taking tours with Kim of the Capitol, and they come over to our museum largely for a self-guided experience. So we kind of gather them in this really beautiful memorial hall and tell them a little bit about what we have, and then they can actually go on their own and explore, which they really enjoy, just kind of going wherever their fancy takes them. A couple of the really notable things that we have here on display are items that are part of the State Archives collection, including the charter that was granted from the King of England in 1662. And so seeing a massive old document like that is really impressive to the kids. We also do offer a scavenger hunt for anybody who, it's on our website, if anyone wants to come in and kind of have a little bit of a guide to take you around the facility and look at some of the exhibits. And I also want to mention that we have an excellent research center at the State Library that's outside of the museum, but in the State Library building. And a lot of people have been first acquainted with the State Library through the use of those services. In particular, our history and genealogy department is very helpful to researchers, people who are looking for historical information, and can pull different items from the archives that you're able to view firsthand and handle. And so it's really a great experience for both students and adults who are doing research.
So over at the Capitol, we offer a 1-hour guided tour that starts at the Legislative Office building in a public hearing room. So you actually sit in the chairs where you would sit if you were attending a hearing. And from there, we talk a bit about the art, the architecture of that building, not just the government. We go through an underground walkway to the Capitol, and that's really where we devote our time. The first floor is more of a museum setting. We have several historic items. We talk about the history of state heroine Prudence Crandall, hero Nathan Hale, who, by the way, are both educators well ahead of their time. We focus on what's called the Genius of Connecticut, a replica of a statue that once topped the Capitol Dome. And then we continue upstairs to the House and Senate chamber. Depending on whether or not the legislature's in session, we'll actually sit in the gallery, observe the proceedings, talk a little bit about what's going on. If the legislature's not meeting that particular day, we go right onto the floor. So they actually get to sit in the well of the House, and the House of Representatives is right behind me on screen. We go up to the Senate. We sit in the circle, the center, talk a bit about the story of the famous Charter Oak and the Charter of 1662. So it's wonderful when groups go from the Capitol to the museum or vice versa. They've seen the charter or they've heard the Charter Oak story. If we can, we sit in the chair, perhaps make a wish, and then they go over and they see this incredible document of our history, along with the portraits of governors and other artifacts. We do also offer self-guided tour booklets, and we have some online resources that we'll talk about a little later.
So like the Capitol, we're pretty fortunate to have a neat background to civics. My background as well here, the Senate chamber that I'm in. So it's a great place to bring kids in to learn about how laws work in the place where laws were actually passed, a couple hundred years ago. So we really lean into that. Our Three Branches program is kind of our key signature school program that we do for elementary school audiences, where students have a chance to elect a governor. They get to try to pass a bill. And then we also do a mock court trial as well. So the kids get to see how each of the three branches of government here in Connecticut work. And they get to do it in the place where those three branches actually used to work. So it's kind of a neat connection there. We also do a program geared towards high school students called the History and Future of Voting Rights. This demonstrates how the question of who gets to vote has shaped the way that Connecticut residents have lived their lives here in our state. We also do another program called Agency in the Amistad. It's another program geared mostly towards high school students that is designed to support the CERC curriculum for Black and Latino Studies elective. That centers on the Amistad story, or rather it centers the Amistad story on the Mende and Sierra Leonean people at the center of the Amistad trial. We do another program, we've got a lot of programs here, called Civic Superheroes, which explores the concept of community and what it means to be a hero, using real life examples to show how kids can make a difference or be a hero in their local or state communities. That also ties into some of our offsite programming, such as our Kid Governor program. We're in the process of developing an on-site school program that kind of focuses on the Kid Governor program and the Kid Governor election. And for all of the students who come to the Old State House on a field trip, we have the option of bringing them into the Kid Governor's office as well, so they can actually see this place where their kid governor, a real elected kid official, gets to work here at Connecticut's Old State House. We also do a couple of different building tours. We do kind of our standard building tour, which we can scale to any age level. So we'll do that for first and second graders sometimes, all the way up to middle school and high school audiences, and of course for adults who come to the Old State House. We also do a special theme tour towards, or geared towards the annual History Day theme. We're the state affiliate for the National History Day program. So this year's theme was Turning Points in History, and we focused on some of the most impactful events that took place in our building and across Connecticut to help inspire students participating in History Day how to find local stories that have changed history.
Thank you so much. So many things to do. All right, so I know some of you already alluded to this during your answers, but how do your programs support what teachers are discussing in their classrooms surrounding civics, in case there's anything you would like to add to your previous answer?
I'll add a little bit. So for a lot of students, when they learn about the judicial branch, they learn that their opportunity to participate is as a juror. That's certainly true, and it is important. However, I think our programs show that there are more ways to participate. As I think everybody here would agree, government is something that has to happen with eyes on it. People have to see it happening, and to be able to come into our courts and to see it happening, that's an important part of the lesson. Additionally, our placements for students in the courts where they're working is a chance for kids to learn that their role doesn't have to be limited to that of a lawyer or a juror. There are roles for all different kinds of people within our branch, and this is a way for them to learn that.
I think one of the things that we can do to enhance the classroom experience is our agency exists to be sort of the storehouse of information for the state. We have the primary source documents that are being discussed in the classroom, and you can see them in the museum, as you've heard about the charter, but we have many others, and it's a way to either allow students or teachers to see those in person or to read about them and get resources, talk to people who have in-depth understanding of those documents. And so it can really enhance the work that is happening to actually see the documents and the objects that are being discussed in the classroom. And that, again, can help you better understand the experience and the role that students can play in that process, and help make it an experience that helps them understand really kind of that these things really are happening and are true, and that they can participate in them as well.
Deborah is absolutely right. The State Library is really the repository for so many important state documents, as well as the artifacts in the museum. And the State Library really shines in its ability to make those resources accessible to the public right from your classroom. So there is the Connecticut Digital Archive, where a lot of our materials are housed, so that you can just do a search and pull up some of the primary documents to use in your classroom. Also, the museum is working on bringing up our collection to a digital venue, but in the meantime, you can access our collection of governors' portraits with biographical information about each governor, so you can learn about the different periods of Connecticut's history and who was leading the state at that time. And I think the important thing about that is really helping kids think about history in terms of people, not things. So really enabling them to kind of put a face with a name, with a period, that these were people just like us today who were contributing to Connecticut in their own way.
I think being able to come here in person and just the atmosphere, when it's a day of session, the building is so alive. I mean, there's so much activity, and we have to get creative going around. I advise people, it's great to come during session. It's a busier building. It's a lot different than just watching it on TV. The CTN does a wonderful job of showing our government, but they're just seeing the chambers or a public hearing room. And to actually walk through the halls and you see somebody racing back and forth to get to that vote, or, oh, we walked around the corner and there's the governor. Just being in the heart of it is just a wonderful opportunity. It really brings everything to life. And I think that's what we all agree on, is being able to take what we get off the smart board or online and just seeing it in action is so phenomenal.
So a lot of the students who come to Connecticut's Old State House are already participating in one of our off-site or in-classroom programs. So For students who do come for a 3 branches program, if they're an elementary school group, they may either be participating in Kitty Governor in their school, or there may be other if they're a 3rd or 4th grade class, there may be a 5th grade class participating in their school for the Kitty Governor program. So being able to see the Kitty Governor office is kind of a cool connection there. And then for our middle school and high school students, a lot of them are participating in History Day. So they can pair a History Day workshop when they're at the Old State House for their field trip and kind of enhance their experience that way as well. But all of our school programs are developed with the state social studies frameworks in mind. We're trying to connect to the standards that teachers are using in their classroom so that when they come to the Old State House, it's really an extension of the work that they're already doing in the classroom. And we always try to touch base with our teachers if we can before they come to the Old State House to see where they are in their lessons so that we can try to meet students where they already are in terms of their familiarity with some of the concepts and terms that we're going to use in the program. Our goal is really just to be an extension of what they're already learning and to hopefully make that come to life a little bit by learning about it through a place-based experience.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. All right, so the class has come to your site. They've taken the tour. They've taken the school program. They loved it. They're so happy. So these students, what would you like them to walk away from your site with? What would you like them to tell their classmates or their families about their field trip? What do you want them to have learned and take with them when they leave your site?
So I think it's easy to say, I'd love for them to walk away, understanding the intricacies of how our branch works. Connecticut's unique in a lot of ways. But I think more than that, if you've ever been to the Supreme Court, it is a beautiful room. It's a Beaux-Arts style building, which is said to be awe-inspiring. And that's what I hope that the students and visitors feel when they leave us, that they feel inspired to participate, to learn more, that it's not just some stuffy thing that happens separate from them, that it does have an effect on their life. And yeah, I just want them to feel inspired to keep learning.
I think what Allison said is really key. We want students to walk away feeling inspired and to understand that government is not just something that happens outside of them. It is something that is approachable and it is understandable and it is something that is easy for them to participate in, whether that is through the Supreme Court, through the museum, any of these other things. The government exists to serve the people and to be representative of our interests, and they can participate in that in very easy ways. And we want people to understand, we want to hear their voices, we want them to participate. And this is why all of us are here today, is our jobs exist because we are here to help people understand that the government is for them and we want them to be participating in it.
When people visit the Museum of Connecticut History, they're going to be surrounded by stuff, some of the coolest stuff that the state owns, and not just in the Memorial Hall, but into additional galleries. But what I really want visitors to walk away with is to think about the people attached to the stuff. So the stuff, the things are just the pieces of history that are left, but they all have a connection to the people of Connecticut. And I think when you're able to look at history that is really people focused, it makes you understand that we right now are making history and that what we're doing will be history. And I think what the prior panelists have said is exactly right. You want to inspire people that it's not just something other people are going to do. It's something we're doing right now.
I think one of the big things is the understanding that this is your building. It is your seat of government. You have a role in it. Just the last week, we had a group of middle school students. They took the tour, last minute arranged, but they were here primarily to show their support for a classmate who was testifying before one of the largest committees, the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, on a school-related issue. And just for them to be able to say, we're in the building, we're having our voice heard, and that we do have this right and this opportunity is phenomenal. Capital Information and Tours is operated through the League of Women Voters, and the League primary focus is really to encourage informed and active participation in government. And when you come here and you see what goes on, we hope people go away saying, I can do something. My community, my school, my town government, we can get involved and maybe someday work here. And I think it was also mentioned that it's not just the government here. We have people working, helping out the citizens. So there are many opportunities to be involved in government, but not necessarily be the elected official. But primarily, we want them going home knowing this is their building and they always have a right to be here.
So I think similar to what Kim said, I really hope that when students visit Connecticut's Old State House, that they take away a better understanding of how state government works, but more importantly, at least one way to make a difference that has resonated with them. So whether it's something big like running for office, becoming an elected official, going into a career in law, or something smaller like voting, or just finding a way to do something in or for your community to make it a better place to live. I think that's always exciting when we feel like we've made a difference with these students and that they're going to take something home with them, especially civically wanting to make a difference in their community. But another thing that's really exciting is when students show just an excitement about museums. So this past weekend at the Old State House, we actually had a family come in who the student had been here on a field trip earlier in the week, and they went home and they just had to make their parents bring them back to the Old State House so they could show them some of the cool stuff that they had seen on their tour. So when students leave with an excitement about museums and historic sites, that's always really neat to see too, because we love seeing the families that come to the Old State House as well.
Thank you so much. And it's not just students that our sites serve, right? It's also teachers and educators, administrators. Could you also share what you would like teachers to walk away from your site with? How they would like to, how you would like them to see and work with your site?
So we want the teachers to feel that same sense of inspiration. So a lot of times we have teachers who grew up out of state. They didn't grow up in Connecticut. This is the first time that they're really seeing how the courts work here. So we definitely want them to have that sense of inspiration as well. We also want them to leave with an understanding of how many other things we have to offer them, how many free resources there are to help them in their job of educating the children. We have a lot of classroom-based programming that's available. And so we hope that they leave with a sense of a relationship, that they're going to come back to us year after year, and they're going to engage in all the other programming we have as well.
I feel like I'm just echoing everything that Allison says. The relationship is really the key in this situation. What I want a teacher and educator to walk away feeling is they have met somebody who is a resource. They have come to a place that is a resource for them. I was an educator myself before I joined the State Library, and I used to tell my students, if you remember nothing else about what I am telling you, I hope that you remember I am available for you as a resource when you have questions, when you want to do something and you don't know where to turn. We are available. And that's really what we are at the State Library as well. We are every day, the decisions that we are making about the collections that we are highlighting, about things that we are preserving or digitizing or making accessible or sharing in a variety of ways. It's because we are doing it for our citizens, for our students, for our teachers. And that is what our purpose is. And so we hope that you will always see us as a resource, as a place to come, as somebody that you can consult with and ask questions of, and help you. We can help develop your classroom resources, your teaching, all of those things. So again, it's really about you've made a connection with the people behind the institution.
I think making sure that Connecticut teachers and educators are aware of the importance of Connecticut history. It is our history. It is important nationally. So a lot of times the textbooks are teaching about a national history, but every national story has a local root. And so thinking about local history, or in this case, different stories of Connecticut history, everybody that's represented in the museum is part of Connecticut, all the different, 167 towns. And so I hope that educators will remember that not only are there great Connecticut stories that tell a national history, but they are even probably more likely to engage their students when the students realize that it happened right in their own backyard.
I'm gonna pretty much agree with everything that's been said. I think that's the great thing, is that we're resources. We're always learning. So if I have somebody on tour who comes up with something that I haven't heard, I'm going to look into that and say, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's something new to focus on. But I think understanding that, oh, wait, I can call a legislator and have them come into the school. We try to facilitate meetings with the representatives and senators from a school's town. And on occasion, they come in and they'll introduce them onto the floor of the House or Senate. They'll join the tour. They'll share what they do. And I think just the whole idea of sharing and having those opportunities and resources, I think that's all that we're consensus, is that resources and sharing and having that information available.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Jacob, I forgot you.
No, that's okay. Not a problem. So I think the biggest thing for me is that teachers hopefully walk away feeling that their work is valued, appreciated, and supported by our staff and our team at Connecticut's Old State House. It can be challenging to be a teacher. It takes a lot of work to book a field trip. And it also takes a concerted effort to elevate social studies, especially in elementary classrooms, when there's such a competition, and rightly so, for things like reading and writing skills, for STEM. And so I hope that teachers understand that we appreciate the work that goes into being a teacher and a social studies teacher in the state of Connecticut, and that we are here to support and value their work, that we have civics lessons plans and other resources that we can provide to them, kind of echoing what Deb and Kim said, that we want to be resources for these teachers, and that if they ever have questions, or if there's ways that we can help that we're not already doing, that I hope they'll reach out to us and coordinate with us on that, because we just want to help our teachers here in Connecticut as much as we can, because they do work so hard.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Jacob. Okay, well, so much talk about resources. Why don't we, now that the students have come to your site, they've taken the tour, they've walked away inspired and invigorated to have an active role in their communities, what other off-site in-classroom resources do you have that teachers and students can make use of in your sites?
So going off of what Jacob had said, we have two major programs that we run in classrooms, and the big purpose of those is to educate the students without adding any work to the teachers' plate. They've already got so much to do. So we want to give them resources that don't require a lot of pre-work or follow-up work for them. So we do have a speakers bureau where a school, any age level, can request to have a judge come and speak to their students, either about a specific topic or just generally about their experience as a judge. The judges love visiting students and they love answering questions. The students always have really thoughtful questions. They have a lot of silly questions, and it's a great way for the branch to interact with these students. We also have what we call our Civics Academy, and that pairs up a judge and an attorney to go into 5th 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classes to present a civics lesson. It's a 50-minute lesson. It's entirely self-contained. So again, the teacher doesn't have any kind of pre-work to do. And the students learn what their role is in a democracy. They learn about what a democracy is, the importance of rules. They learn about how to change rules that they don't like. And they really end with a sense of empowerment of what their role is, even just as students.
So at the State Library, we have so many different resources, as we've talked about, and it can be easy when you see so much information to not know where to start or to find the thing that you are actually trying to find. And so I think one of the best ways to interact and use those resources is something that we have on our website. It's called Library Guides, and I'll share the link at the end. I think there's time for that. But this is hundreds of different resources that have been put together by librarians over the years and are updated, and you can access them for free online from anywhere. And this is talking about the many different items in our collection. So you might see a guide on accessing state census records or the national census records, or how to find legal history if you're looking at a particular case, or different versions of a bill that you're wanting to find. We have, as Jen mentioned, we put a lot of our resources in the Connecticut Digital Archive so that you can actually see scans of those original documents. We are in our 6th grant through the National Endowment for the Humanities, and this is something that we are using to scan old Connecticut newspapers, and so those are accessible through the Library of Congress across the country and the world. We produce publications like the Public Records of the State of Connecticut. We have maps and archives and photos and everything that anything that you might be interested in about the state of Connecticut, from aerial maps that were taken during specific periods of time, census records, just a wealth of things. And so I would really recommend taking a look at those library guides, the finding aids that we have for our archives collections, because you'll be amazed at the wealth of resources there. And then all of the links that you'll be able to find to access them and look at all of those resources. And of course, the people who are able to come and speak on those topics as well.
As part of the State Library team, the staff of the Museum of Connecticut History does go out and also give talks to classrooms. We have a series of outreach programs that are on our website that will come to your classroom and present. We also, one of our history and genealogy staffers, Kevin Johnson, will actually do his presentations as historical character. He has a character named Jordan Freeman, who was a Revolutionary War soldier, and he's working on a new character. And we also are, as we were saying before, just very open to teachers' ideas. So if you have a topic that you're interested in, you want to tailor something specific, especially when we have a collection item that would really help tell that story, we're happy to create something for teachers and students as needed.
And we have been building up our online resources. We have versions of the self-guided tour of the Capitol, Legislative Office Building, the exterior statuary. We, through the League of Women Voters, publish a directory of elected officials, and it's the information on contacting not only the state legislators, but also those at the federal level. We have a one-pager about how to contact, get in touch with your representatives and senators from a student's point of view. There's a guide to state government that goes into the 3 branches of government and a bit of the history. We have a 3 branches of government online module. The League also produced a piece on the 19th Amendment, celebrating women and the right to vote. And that's one of our modules. We're happy to say we have an immersive Matterport 360 virtual tour. So if you can't get here in person, you can walk around the building that way, photo galleries, take a closer look at what you've seen. So a little bit of the museum side of the building, and also these documents that'll help you understand your role and getting in touch with people in government.
So I know I've already talked about this a few times, but not to sound like a broken record, we have our kind of two key flagship programs, which are Connecticut History Day and Connecticut's Kid Governor. Both of these programs provide resources to teachers and students about how to employ research and critical thinking skills that are so vital to civics, as well as in the case of Kid Governor, a really robust set of lesson plans developed specifically for elementary students to better understand how Connecticut's civic landscape works for and because of people like them. We also run the state's We the People program, where students follow a robust civics curriculum that leads to a mock congressional hearing. We also run the Connecticut Democracy Center debate tournament for middle high school students as well. We have the Connecticut Network, which I mentioned briefly earlier. So we broadcast the goings-on of our state government and make the government more accessible to the public. And that also includes recordings of legislative and committee meetings, which teachers can use to supplement their lesson plans and build on what they're doing in the classroom. CTN also records a lot of the in-house public programming we do, especially Mariana does a lot of these programs. Excuse me. And we rebroadcast those programs both on CTN, the television network, as well as to the CTN on-demand library of videos that you can find on the CTN website. We also post a lot of those videos to our Connecticut's Old State House YouTube page. And we also we manage the Connecticut Freedom Trail. So we do a lot of great programming through there as well that can also add to classroom experiences and discussions as well. So those you can also find on the Old State House YouTube page, or you can find it on the Connecticut Freedom Trail YouTube page as well.
Thank you so much. Jennifer had to leave, but just a big thank you to Jennifer for having joined us today. But be a shame to not plug Kevin Johnson that both Allison mentioned. No, Jennifer's the one who mentioned Kevin Johnson, who is going to actually be doing his character with us at the Old State House through the Freedom Trail later this month on March 27th, if I'm not mistaken. So do check out our YouTube page on the 27th to see what Kevin Johnson can do in his characters. Okay, so what else do we have? Okay, so my next question is, how does having civically informed and engaged visitors impact your institutions?
So for the judicial branch, having civically engaged visitors helps that by the time they are old enough to participate by way of being on a jury or they're a party to the case, our branch really functions on the trust and confidence of the public who we come into contact with. And if folks don't understand how our process works, they don't trust that we're doing our best, and that, they don't understand how we function, they're not going to follow court orders, and the whole system falls apart if we don't have that mutual understanding and respect. So it's really important to the function of the judicial branch that the folks we come into contact with have that trust and confidence in us. And that is, gained in large part due to civic education.
And I would say those are often our heaviest users. They are people who come into the library regularly. They know our staff well. They ask very probing questions. They're the ones who really experience the depth and breadth of the collections and the resources that we have. It's often a way that our own staff can learn about some of the things that we have. We have items that may not have been accessed in a while, or somebody hasn't accessed. I know a recent visitor, the staff member who's handing them said, I haven't seen this in years. It's so good to see somebody using it and understanding the importance of it. And because we have so many resources, we never quite know who's going to want what, and it helps us make sure that what we have is fresh and available, and that we as a staff have an understanding of those resources. And I think in terms of the museum, it helps shape the exhibits. It helps shape the programs that we develop, the hiking through history programs that we offer. And so we engage with having an engaged audience keeps us engaged and keeps us informed in terms of the work that we do so that we can continue to provide those resources. And so it really does just kind of create that cycle of helping each other understand our resources. And then, you know, as an agency, we have to do things like justify our budget every year, and having people who can come in and say, I use the state library. I was able to learn about my great-great-grandfather through this resource, or I used their legislative histories and it was helpful. That is something that is very useful for others to hear about us as well within government. So there's a lot of different ways that we are benefited by an engaged public as well.
I think being civically informed and engaged, here we are a citizens legislature. So if people see they can be involved, they can potentially become a legislator. That's the big thing for our institution, but also knowing how to find their way through the government, who to contact. And sometimes it's several steps to get where you want to go, but understanding that it's not always so simple, but we can get it done. I think that's one of the great things about having somebody who's open-minded that way.
I forgot you again, Jacob. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't blame you. No, it's not a problem. So that's obviously a big part of our mission is to build a civically engaged and informed Connecticut. But in terms of how it impacts our site when people are civically engaged, I feel that, you know, being civically engaged is something that kind of builds upon itself. So once you get involved in one way, it tends to snowball into other ways of being involved and engaged in your community. So our hope is that when we get visitors who maybe aren't super excited and passionate and engaged yet, that we can help provide that first step towards getting there, because we really do believe that once you've taken that first step towards civic action, it's only going to build from there, and you're going to get more and more engaged, which is, of course, what we want. But for those visitors who already are there, who already are engaged and informed, we hope that they get to take that next step of engagement with us. Through a lot of the programming that we offer, we hope that we can provide some inspiration to the people who live in our state to find new and different issues that they may not have been aware about, that they might feel that they can and want to make a difference on, or that we can connect them with other people. I think that's one of the things that we do really well, is kind of a convener of people who care about the state. So you might see somebody on a program and reach out to them to try to make a difference on a cause that somebody else is already working towards. So again, it's really hoping that we can help people take that first step into civic engagement, and then help them take the next step and the next step after that.
That's wonderful. Apologies again, Jacob. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. It was such a joy to learn more about your sites and all of your offerings, and share a little bit about what you have available for the public. So where can people go to learn more about your sites and your opening hours and all of the programs you have coming up? Where can people learn more about you?
So we have information on all of our programs, extensive information, including all the contact that you could possibly need on our website. It's www.jud.ct.gov. That's the judicial branch's website. On the left-hand side, you'll see a menu, and you'll click on the option that says educators/students, and you'll find information on all of our programs there.
So we are in the process of updating our websites. So I hope you will come visit them, but also come back. So there are 3 places I'm going to point you to. One is ctstatelibrary.org, or you can visit portal.ct.gov/CSL, Connecticut State Library. Those are the two main websites for the State Library currently. And then if you want to look specifically for the Museum of Connecticut History, it's museumofcthistory.org. And from there, you'll be able to access the wealth of information we have.
Easiest way to find us is through lwvct.org. We're right on the League of Women Voters of Connecticut webpage. We're just below the header. And from there, you can access our videos. We do have a YouTube channel. The Map Report, as I spoke about, just the variety of one-pagers and items. You can sign up to do the tour. We have an online tour request form, or you can email us directly, at capital, and that's capital with an O, not an A. So capital.tours@cga.ct.gov. You can also link to us through the Connecticut General Assembly website, cga.ct.gov. And one thing I didn't mention is that we actually have a virtual scavenger hunt that encourages you to go through the CGA website and answering questions about the government and participation.
And for us, you can visit us at ctdemocracycenter.org. At the very top of that screen, we have links to all of our other websites. So you can get to ctoldstatehouse.org to learn more about Connecticut's Old State House and the school programs that we do here at the museum. You can go to kidgovernor.org and learn more about the Kid Governor programming lesson plans, as well as ct.kidgovernor.org for the Connecticut specific program details. You can also go to historydayct.org to learn about History Day. And of course, you can call us at the Old State House at 860-240-5340 or come and visit us in person. We're always happy to talk to people who want to learn more about civics and civics education.
Thank you so much. Well, there you have it, folks. There's just a plethora of resources available for you here in downtown Hartford, all over the place, and at all these wonderful sites. We do hope that you take the time to check them out and hopefully come visit and take your own piece of place-based civics learning. So again, happy Civics Learning Week. We do have a bunch of other offerings coming up in the Connecticut Democracy Center. Just to go over them real quick. Besides the other online panel we will be having later this week on Wednesday, where we'll be having the Secretary of the State, the Commissioner of Education, and the first Connecticut Kid Governor. They'll be joining us to talk about the impact that early civic learning had in their lives. And but we'll also be having daily voting rights themed tours here at the Old State House. Will be starting tomorrow, Tuesday through Saturday at 2 p.m. We'll have a specifically voting rights themed tour of the building here at the Old State House. And if you come, you'll have a chance to take a look at our Constitutional History of the Constitution State exhibit, which is all about the history of the constitutions of Connecticut. And we will also be rebroadcasting a couple of our more popular public programs about civics learning and participation. We also have a mini video series called What is Civics, where Connecticut students, teachers, civics experts, and practitioners and government officials will be answering questions about the importance of civics learning. And on our website, you'll also find links to civics learning resources for teachers and students created by the Connecticut Democracy Center and all of our state government partners. So I also encourage you to check out the National Civics Learning Week website, where you see the programs from all the states that are also celebrating Civics Learning Week. I've said that so many times today, but I hope you enjoyed today's program. I thank you, all of our guest speakers today, for taking time to come speak about your sites. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.